All right, we are back with Changemakers. We're here with, do you go by Bishop Michael Robinson? Is that how you are identified?
Yeah, in some circles. Yeah, Bishop Michael Robinson. Michael Robinson is absolutely fine.
Perfect. Well, Michael, we're so excited to have you here. I received a nomination for you for the work that you're doing, and I'm really excited to share that with our audience here. But the mission of Changemakers 21 is to share the stories that you probably never have heard, and I think yours is one of those. So we've got a global audience, and I bet the people down in Sydney, Australia, have no idea who you are. So can you share a little bit about your background before we get started? Who you
Yeah,
are and all that good stuff?
Michael Robinson, born and raised here in St. Louis, Missouri. Love my city. Product of the University City School District. You can't be from St. Louis and not tell what high school you're from. It's a St. Louis thing. So and just loving what I am able to do. I've worked in many different social service organizations, everything from working in halfway houses to youth detention centers, always being involved in something that pours into and gives back to individuals. So that's in a nutshell my who I am. I'm a minister, local pastor. They call me the hope dealer because I pastor in the inner city, right at the corner of hood and ghetto, right where that meets. That's where our church is. And so we get to minister to people that typically would not be welcomed in most churches. They don't look like everybody else. They don't have the nice clothes. Sometimes they don't even smell the nicest. Sometimes they come to church hungry for not just spiritual food, but natural food. We're that church that helps to provide that for them. So that's, our church is called Hope Nation International Church. It's on Cottage and P.L. Scott, Bishop P.L. Scott in St. Louis, Missouri.
Gotcha. And
Then
you
let me
were,
get to the other part. I'm the CEO and founder of City Hope St. Louis, which is becoming, boy, at a rapid pace, the largest provider of shelter beds for the unhoused community members in St. Louis, Missouri.
and that mission and what you're working on is the reason why you were nominated. So I want to just I want to tell our audience why, and then I want you to fill in the gaps in case I say something wrong. But so there's a lot of places where somebody can go to sleep for the night, and they're not always the safest places, and they're not always the best places. Sometimes they're a park bench, sometimes they're a shelter. But there's not a lot of places that do exactly what you are striving to do. And I think that's amazing. So you provide them with a place to stay, but then you begin to work with them to get into their own housing situation. And you provide them with skills that allow them to get jobs and do those things. And it really is a different take. So I want to ask you, number one, did I sum that up accurately?
Absolutely, absolutely. You hit the nail right there on the head. It's so many reasons why an individual may find themselves in the predicament of being without shelter or being housed. So many various reasons, and none of that really matters to us other than let me get you into a safe place. Let me get you into a place where we can get you grounded, make sure you're okay, and then let's work with you on changing that situation. We don't want to have a band-aid effect. We want to take a treatment approach to it. Let's take the band-aid off. Let's treat the wound. Let's dig in and let's get to the root of the situation and find out exactly what the cause is, eliminate that, and get you on the road to a better life.
That's really the story. I didn't share this with you, but there have been times where in my life I have been displaced.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
business partner, Larry, who's co-hosting this event with me, was homeless for a long period of time. And we had the resources to come back from that, right? We had the
Mm.
training, we had the skills, we had family and those things. But a lot of the people that you work with, they don't have those things yet. And
Right.
you provide them to them. So to me, that's the definition of what a change maker is and what they do. And it's amazing to me. I love this project that we're doing because yours is an example of the story that isn't told. And maybe there's people in St. Louis that know it, but the people around the world don't. And Michael, what inspired you to do this? I always found there's some kind of trigger or some event or some tragedy or something that inspired this. And what's yours?
So there's two things that I would attribute to the reason why I am extremely passionate about what I do and has landed me in this place that I'm in right now. One was during middle school, we were in leadership programs, and one of the leadership programs that we were a part of took us on a tour of downtown St. Louis, where we had to live in downtown St. Louis. Uh, and they gave us a backpack and a map, and they told us we had to figure some things out. We had some stops we had to make. One of those stops was to we call it the Red Door Church. It's known in the community downtown as a Red Door Church. It's the cathedral there, the Episcopal Cathedral, and they had a shelter in the basement for women and children. We had to actually, not only did we have to go there and cook dinner, but we had to stay there that night. Then the next night, we went to another shelter and served lunch at Peter and Paul Shelter. Those two experiences, coupled along with the as we continued in leadership programs, we would get extra credit if over the holidays we would go and serve the homeless. Uh, our excuse me, our my friends, a group of my friends, that was our meetup point. We would come home from college, back from our various cities, and through high school, through college, we would meet up and go to the shelters to serve Thanksgiving and Christmas. That continued something in me, and then here's the big trigger right here. 2017, winter vortex comes through the city of St. Louis. Horrible, horrible, bad winter. At the same time, during that winter, they closed down the largest homeless shelter in the city of St. Louis, New Life Evangelistic Center. They shut it down uh, for various reasons. However, that's not important. The main thing was that there were going to be at least 200 individuals that would not have shelter space during that winter time because that building was closed now, and there were no new shelters that had opened up, no new shelter beds that had been opened. So I saw the weather forecast, I knew the news report, and I reached out to um, a friend of mine who manages the building that we rent for our church. And I said, "Hey, Steve," uh, I said, "I'm a screenshot of the weather report." I said, "Did you see this?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What are we going to do?" And he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I think we need to open the building." And he says, "What time do you want me to be there?" And so we had no plan, no money, definitely no money. Uh, we had no staff, nothing. We had nothing but, and I tell everybody I started the agency with a pot of spaghetti and a weather forecast. That's all I had. I scraped up some stuff that we had at the church, and I cooked a big pot of spaghetti, and we opened the doors. That night,
That's
60
amazing.
to 70 people came in for shelter that night. We live in a community,
Oh,
and our church is in
Michael.
a community where there are tons of vacant buildings, and you would think that they're vacant, but we call them vacos. But every day there are individuals that come out of there and they come to our church for resources. and they would not have made it living and sleeping during that time in those buildings. Individuals from the downtown area that would normally have been able to go to New Life came to our shelter. 60 to 70 people. We put I got nervous. I got nervous, and I'm like, what are we going to do? So I started cooking. That's what I do. I'm a big boy, so that's that's my go-to. So I just started cooking for them. Then
You know, it's funny, Michael. I gotta share this real quick. Somebody one time, I've started a lot of businesses and some failed, some succeeded. It's just the nature of being an entrepreneur. And somebody one time they asked me, "What's your business plan for this one?" I said, "Don't go broke." Right? Like, you don't always have to have it figured out to start. You just got to start, and then it'll figure it out. And it sounds like that's what you did, putting this together. We're running a little bit light on time here, so I want to give you like the last 30 seconds to do two things. And if it takes 60, so be it. But share the website of your church, or share contact information of your project, how they get a hold of you. So for those that want to support. And secondly, we talked about this. There's going to be somebody that heard that they can make a difference just by taking some basic action. And I want you to share your words of wisdom, or your words to inspire them to do so with whatever resources they have in whatever place or point in their life and career and whatever that they happen to be in. Share with them your words of wisdom. But first, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can reach us. It's not our church that does this anymore. We had to create a new organization. It's called City Hope St. Louis. You can reach City Hope St. Louis at www.cityhopestl.org. cityhopestl.org. You can find our organization there. We're a 501c3 organization that's grown from doing one shelter now to operating right now, presently 6 shelters right now. During the wintertime, we had over 10 locations operating at one time. So you can reach us
and it's
there.
cityhopestl.org, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and I'm putting that on the screen so people can see that right now.
All right.
And then what's your words of wisdom for those that might want to take action but don't necessarily know how?
Well, is do it afraid. Do it afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't
afraid.
Yeah. Do it afraid.
I love it.
Don't be so caught up in the moment and allow fear to paralyze you. Go ahead and do it. There are going to be times where you don't have enough, where you don't have everything. Listen, we've been flying this plane and building it at the same time. We just need it. You just need to be able to get it off the ground. And as you go, things will come. We didn't have anything but a pot of spaghetti, but when we opened the doors, then came donuts and juice. We had breakfast. Then came blankets, and then came cots. Everything will happen. Some things will never happen until you go. It's as you go that things will happen, and things will begin to shape and form and develop. So don't think that you've got to have everything in place, the whole plan. Do it afraid. Don't be afraid to start it.
Awesome. Michael Robinson, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of Changemakers 21. You're the first ever class. You're in the first class of Changemakers for ReVitalize. So great. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Guys, we have more Changemakers coming up. Make sure you stay tuned. Just a great show still in store for you. So thanks for being here, and stay tuned.